So today I'm gonna demonstrate assignment one. For that, I'm gonna first import my data set. This is my old one. I'm gonna delete this and bring the data set. Just a second. Oh, no, it's just one.csv, and then so the data set is imported to collab successfully. So first I'm gonna import pandas library and using alias name as pd, and then I'm giving my data frame name as my pdf.read table is nothing but it reads the entire table of your csv file you have provided. Next, I'm gonna display first five rows. To display the first five rows, we use something called head displays first five rows of your data frame. So when I run this, it displays the first five rows, one, two, three, four, five. Next, next, if you look at this, we don't have any column names. That's why I'm gonna assign column names and display them. So for that, I'm giving assigning columns equal to ID, range, value, machine type, zip code, and again I'm gonna read my table with a separator equal to comma because these are comma separated values, and header equal to none because if you look at these, the first row of this is data, not the column header. That's why I gave header equal to none and name equal to columns as I gave the columns, and I'm gonna run this code. So if you look at the output, I see the column headers ID, range, value, machine type, and zip code. Now I'm gonna delete the existing data set and I'm gonna add the data set which contains my name, which I've already edited it. I'm gonna show it to you. Oh, just a second. With, so Kaushik Reddy Madgula A00028822. I already wrote this. Next, I took that data set. I'm gonna read the table again and display you the output. So if you see here, it's displaying Kaushik Reddy Madgula A00028822. So so it is displaying what values I gave in my data set. So next, I'm gonna use a method to skip the first row. So I'm gonna assign my column names and I'm reading the table into my df again. These all I have explained till names equal to columns and skip rows equal to one is nothing but whenever I'm reading the table, I'm gonna skip row one because I don't need this row. I'm gonna skip those values. That's what skip rows equal to one does. So I'm gonna run this code. See, I don't see my name and student ID anymore. Now I'm gonna display the data types of my data frame. So ID, range, value are integers, machine code, and zip code are objects. So next comes I want to display my value column. So there are two ways: bracket notation and dot notation. Bracket notation and dot notations gives me the similar result, but there is a small limitation with dot notation. But not dot notation is more inclined towards oops style, object oriented style, and then uh, so this is bracket notation. We use bracket notation followed by column name. This is dot notation followed by column name. Both of them gives the same result and same data types and same number of rows. Method 2 follows is more like object oriented style and determine the data type of value column. So to in the top, we determine the data type of entire data frame. Now we only required val for the value series. That's why we wrote something like this dot d type. It's an it's an attribute which gives us the data type. So next for zip code, we can only use bracket notation, not the dot notation, and it is like machine type also has the same restriction. So I'll tell you the reason why. So I'm gonna run this code. So you see bracket notation works good, but when it comes to dot notation, it throws me an error saying invalid syntax because dot notation does not allow any space in between your column names. It doesn't read that way. If there is an underscore, then it will read perfectly. But if there is any space in column names, it won't read. That's why it's preferable to use uh, a bracket notation most of the times. Next, I'm gonna create a new series called brand. It's a combination of machine type and zip code. So I'm separating both of them with a comma. You can use any separator here. It's up to you. And I'm displaying the head first five rows. So I created brand series here, and then it's a combination of machine type and zip code f, and I included a comma nxcyem. It follows the same for entire rows. And next comes is I'm going to create something called total. It is like multiplication of range and value. So if you look at the total series, it's multiplication of range and value. So I'm displaying the head again. So uh, first, so my data frame dot head is nothing but head displays the first five rows of your data frame. Head is a method that shows first five rows of your data frame. Dot describe is a method which shows the count, mean, standard deviation, minimum value, maximum value, 25th percentile value, 50th percentile value, 75th percentile value of only your uh, integer data types, I would say, or numeric data types, I would say. And then my df dot describe is nothing but uh, dot describe with parenthesis is a method. Dot describe is just it gives it gives the information about the method. It does not execute anything. So when I run this, it gives the information about the method that is there in pandas framework. Next, mdf.shape is another attribute. It gives the data about the number of columns and number of rows in our data frame. So there are 950 rows and 7 columns in our data frame. So dot d types is another attribute which gives data type of each series in your data frame. So if you look at this, we have the 7 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and id is integer, range is integer, value is integer, machine type is object, zip code is object, brand is object, and total is again integer. So we already discussed dot describe only gives us integer data types, like numeric data types, I would say. So I'm what if I have to include object data types too? So we'll write code something called include equal to object. So that's when it describe method includes objects. So when I run this code, I'm getting machine type, zip code, brand. So I'll get the number of counts, unique values, and top value and frequency. So next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace my uh, column header name. So ID to my ID. So that's why I wrote this code. So so it's nothing but a rename dot in columns we'll be giving this, and if we have n number of columns we'll be writing comma and adding more comma and adding more stuff, which I'll be showing in the next comma. And next we'll be writing different names whatever we want to change. Next I'm going to show it anyways. So right now in this step I just changed it, but it's not a permanent change. So to change it to permanent in your existing data frame, we use something called in place equal to true. It changes uh, so the change we implement is like permanent change in your data frame. So when I run this, my id equal my id is changed to my id forever in my data frame my df. So next I'm gonna display the columns. So you see it's my id right now, not id. Next I'm gonna change it to different names: small id, range, small letters, range, value, machine type, zip code, and brand. So I'm displaying my entire data frame here. So if you see, ID, range, machine type, zip code, brand, and total is change, but it's not a permanent change because I did not place in place equal to true. Next, I'm gonna replace in this column names. I'm gonna replace this space with machine type, zip code, and I'm gonna replace these spaces with underscore. So that's why I wrote columns dot, because it's string, and dot replace the empty spaces with underscore. So if you look at the output, uh, there is an underscore wherever there is space in my entire column names. So next I'm gonna delete my brand and total columns forever. That's why I wrote something called in place equal to true. So the output you can see there is no brand and total series. Next, what I'm gonna do is delete row 3 and row 5. That's the reason I gave 2 comma 4 and axis equal to 0 is nothing but uh, rows. In place equal to true is like permanent delete. So that is deleted. Here I forgot one point. Axis equal to 1 is nothing but the column names, like the column header, I would say. Next comes is sort the values of value column and display only the value column. So for this, we'll be using sort value method where ascending equal to true and we are displaying only the value series. So that's why we are showing this way. Next, we are sorting the entire data frame based on value series and in ascending order. That's why we wrote my df dot sort values method, my column name and ascending equal to true. So if you look at the data frame, it is all sorted based on the value in ascending order. So now, right now, this change is not permanent. So to make this change permanent, I'm placing in place equal to true. Right now, this data frame is fixed. Like my df, it is like a permanent change. Like whenever I give my df dot head anywhere down, it will be displaying this data frame because we placed in place equal to true. Next I'm gonna run is first I'm gonna sort my values based on range in ascending order and value in descending order. That's the reason I gave dot sort values method. My range series name, value series name, ascending equal to true in case of range and false like descending order in case of value. So I'm gonna run this. So when I run it is first sorting out based on range in ascending order and later descending in value. And then, so next what I'm gonna do is display all my rows where the range is between 250 and 350. So my entire data frame, I'm writing a condition here greater than 250 and less than or equal to 350 and condition in between because there are two conditions. So when I run this, I'm going to display only my data frame where range is in between 250 and 350. You can see there are only 205 rows. Next, I'm gonna run the same code as above, but sort the values based on range and ascending equal to true. You see the number of results here and here are same because it's the same filter, I would say, we are using, and just that we are sorting values based on the range in the ascending order. That's why if you look at this this data frame, 268, 350, 333, because this is not sorted in any order. So here we are sorting it in ascending order. That's why the range value start from like the entire data frame is sorted based on the range. Next, what I'm gonna do is here we are displaying the entire data frame, but here I'm gonna display only an ID and value columns. So we'll be displaying similar to the above code. We'll be writing our series names whatever we want to here. So I'm gonna display only my ID and value columns. That's why I wrote it here. So this is implemented and this is how it is displayed. Uh, so where are we? Yeah, my ID and value. We are only displaying these values. Next comes is there is one more condition where machine type equal to H and we are gonna display machine type column 2. So for that, uh, in addition to the above code, we'll be writing one more condition where machine type is equal to H. We are checking if the machine type is H and we are displaying my ID value and machine type columns. So when I run this code, so if you look at machine type, we check the condition if it's H, if it's only H and range is between 250 and 350. These are the values we get. Now, next comes is we are gonna check H, R or X, like which machine type is equal to H or R or X and display our entire data frame. So when I run this code, machine type equal to H, X, and R. Only these values of the data frame are shown. So if you look at these, there are 101 rows. Next, I'm gonna display my data types. So there are like uh, five columns, I would say five series as of now: my ID, range, value, machine type, and zip code. My ID, range, value are integers, machine type and zip code are objects. Now, uh, when I have to display only numeric columns, there is a method called select data types, where you can select a particular data type. So right now we want to select something numeric, so we are giving number inside the method. So it shows us the data frame which contains only numeric columns, like the integers or float or whatever numeric columns, I would say. So that's what about my assignment. And I've learned in this assignment, like how to use Panda libraries for data cleaning, I would say. And like inputting the input like importing reading the table, sorting out the values based on ascending descending order, giving the column names, or renaming the column names, and using dot notation or bracket notation for uh, displaying the value of the columns. And what else? Like adding filters to display particular values. For suppose in Excel you have a number of values, you have suppose price, but you have to display only price which is greater than 1,000. So I learned how to use filters to display and apply ascending or descending order to it. I i learned how to create new series by a combination of different series. So that's all about my assignment. Thank you for the opportunity.